It was a long time after he left, that warm September morning, that she was able to relax enough to drop the knife. When it clattered to the linoleum, she brought her arms down, oh so slowly, and cradled her breasts as though they were two mangoes thumbed over in marketplace and pushed aside. She stood that way in little rented room with the sunshine pouring in until Guitar came home. He could not get her to speak or move, so he picked her up in his arms and carried her downstairs. He sat her on the bottom step while he went to borrow a car to drive her home. Terrible as he thought the whole business was, and repelled as he was by mildest in love, he could not keep the deep wave of sorrow from engulfing him as he looked at his really rather pretty woman sitting straight as a pole, holding her breast and staring in front of her out of hollow eyes. The engine of the old car he borrowed roared, but Guitar spoke softly to her. You think because he doesn't love you that you are worthless? You think because he doesn't want you anymore that he is right and that his judgment and opinion of you are correct? If he throws you out, then you are garbage? You think he belongs to you because you want to belong to him? Hagar, don't. It's a bad word, belong. Especially when you put it with somebody you love. Love shouldn't be like that. Did you ever see the way the clouds love a mountain? They circle all around it, but sometimes you can't even see the mountain for the clouds. But you know what? You go up top, and what do you see? His head. The clouds never cover the head. His head pokes through because the clouds let him. They don't wrap him up. They let him keep his head high up, free with nothing to hide or bind him. Hear me, Hagar? He spoke to her as he would to a very young child. You can't own a human being. You can't lose what you don't own. Suppose you did own him. Could you really love somebody who was absolutely nobody without you? You really want somebody like that? Somebody who falls apart when you walk out the door? You don't, do you? And neither does he. You're turning over your whole life to him. Your whole life, girl. And if it means so little to you that you can just give it away, hand it to him, then why should it mean any more to him? He can't value you more than you value yourself. He stopped. She did not move or give any sign that she has heard him. Pretty woman, he thought. Pretty, loved, black-skinned woman who wanted to kill for love, die for love. The pride, the conceit of these dormant women amazed him. There were always women who had been spoiled children, whose women had been taken seriously by adults, and who grew up to be the stingiest, greediest people on earth. And out of their stinginess grew their stingy little love. They ate everything in sight. They could not believe or accept the fact that they were unloved. They believed that the world itself was off balance, and when it appeared as though they were not loved. Why did they think their band was better than or even as good as anybody else's? But they did. As they loved their love so much, they would kill anybody who got in its way. He looked at her again. Pretty little black girl, pretty little black-skinned girl. What had Pilot done to her? Hadn't anybody told her the things she ought to know? He thought of his two sisters, grown women now, who could deal, and the litany of their growing up. Where's your daddy? Your mama know you out here in the street? Put something on your head. You gonna catch a dead cold. Ain't you hot? Ain't you cold? Ain't you scared you're gonna get wet? And cross your legs. Pull up your socks. I thought you was going to the junior choir. Your slip is showing. Your hem is out. Come back here and get an iron that collar. Hush your mouth. Comb your head. Get up from there and make that bed. Put on the meat. Take out the trash. Vaseline. Get rid of the ash. Neither Pilot nor Reba knew that Hagar was not like them. Not strong enough like Pilot, nor simple enough like Reba to make up her life as they had. She needed what most colored girls needed: a chorus of mamas, grandmamas, aunts, cousins, sisters, neighbors, Sunday school teachers, best girlfriends, and what all to give to the strength of life demanded of her, and the humor with which to live it. Still, he thought, to have the object of your love worthy, not despise you or leave you. You know what, Hagar? Everything I ever loved in my life left me. My father died when I was 4. That was the first leaving I knew, and the hardest. Then my mother. There were 4 of us, and she couldn't cut it when my father died. She ran away, just ran away. My aunt took care of us until my grandmother could be there. Then my grandmother took care of us. Then Uncle Billy came. Then they're both close to death now. So it was hard for me to latch onto a woman because I thought if I loved anything, I would die. But I did latch on once. But I guess once is all you can manage. Guitar thought about it and said, but I never wanted to kill her. Him? Yeah, but not her. He smiled, but Hagar wasn't looking, wasn't even listening, and when he led her out of the car to Reba's arms, her eyes were still empty. All they knew to do was to love her, and since she would not speak, they brought things to please her. For the first time in life, Reba tried to win things, and also for the first time couldn't accept for a portable television set, which they couldn't connect because they had no electricity. Reba won nothing. No raffle ticket, no bingo, no policy slip, no clearinghouse number, no magazine sweepstake, nor any unpierced carnival balloon scummed into her magic. It wore her down. Puzzled and luckless, she dragged herself home, clutching stalks of anything that blossomed along the edges of the lots and other people's gardens. These she presented to her daughter, who sat in a chair by the window or lay in bed, fingering her hair. They cooked special things for her, searched for gifts that they hoped would break the spell. Nothing helped. Pilot's lips were still, and Reba's eyes full of panic. They brought her lipstick and chocolate milk and pink nylon sweater and a fuchsia bed jacket. Reba even investigated the mysteries of making jello with red and green. Hagar didn't even look at it. One day, Pilot sat down on Hagar's bed and held a comic before her granddaughter's face. It was trimmed in a gold-like metal and had a pink plastic lid. Look, baby, see here. Pilot turned it all around to show it off and pressed it in the catch. The lid sprang open, and Hagar saw a tiny part of her face reflected in the mirror. She took the compact and stared into the mirror for a long time. No wonder, she said at last. Look at that. No wonder. No wonder. Pilot was thrilled at the sound of Hagar's voice. It's yours, baby, she said. Ain't it pretty? No wonder, said Hagar. No wonder. No wonder what? Asked Pilot. Look at how I look. I look awful. No wonder he didn't want me. I look terrible. Her voice was calm and reasonable, as though the last few days hadn't been lived through at all. I need to get up from here and fix myself up. No wonder. Hagar threw back the bed cover and stood up. Oh, I smell too. Mama, heat me some water. I need a bath. A long one. We got any bath salts left? Oh Lord, my head. Look at that. She peered into the comet mirror again. I look like a groundhog. Where's the comb? Pilot called Reba, and together they flew through the house to find the comb. But when they found it, Hagar couldn't get the teeth through her roped and matted hair. Wash it, said Reba. Wash it and we'll comb it when it's wet. I need shampoo then. Real shampoo. I can't use Mama's soap. I'll go get some. Reba was trembling a little. What kind? Oh, any kind. And get some hair oil, Reba. Hostner's and some... Oh, never mind. Just that. Mama, have you seen my... Oh my God, no wonder, no wonder. Pilot pulled a piece of string from Hagar's bedspread and put it in her mouth. I'll heat up the water, she said. When Reba got back, she washed Hagar's hair, brushed it, and combed it gently. Just make 2 braids, Reba. I'm going to have to go to the beauty shop today. Oh, and I need something to wear. Hagar stood at the door of the little cardboard closet, running her hands over the shoulders of dresses. Everything's a mess in here, a mess, all wrinkled. Water's hot. Where you want the tub, bring it in here. You think you should be taking a bath so soon? Reba asked. You just got up. Hush, Reba, said Pilot. Let the child take care of herself. But she's been in the bed 3 days. All the more reason. I can't put these things on. Everything's a mess. Hagar was almost in tears. Reba looked at Pilot. I hope you're right. I don't approve of getting up too fast and jumping right in some water. Help me with this tub and stop grumbling. All wrinkled. What am I going to wear? That ain't enough water to cover her feet. It'll grow when she sits down. Where's my yellow dress? The one that buttons all the way down. Somewhere in there, I reckon. Find it for me and press it, would you? I know it's a mess. Everything's a mess. Reba found and pressed the yellow dress. Pilot helped Hagar bathe. Finally, a clean and clothed Hagar stood before the 2 women and said, I have to buy some clothes, new clothes. Everything I have is a mess. They looked at each other. What do you need? Asked Pilot. I need everything, she said. Everything is what she got. She shopped with everything as a woman could wear, from the skin out, with the money for Reba's diamond. They had 75 cents between them when Hagar declared her needs. and $6 owed to them from customers. So the $2,000 2-carat diamond went to a pawn shop where Reba traded it for $30 at first, and then accompanied by a storming pilot, she went back and got $170 more for it. Hagar stuffed $200.75 in her purse and headed downtown, still whispering to herself every now and then. No wonder. She bought a Playtex garter belt, Miller number collar hose, Fruit of the Loom panties, and 2 nylon slips, 1 white, 1 pink, 1 pair of Joyce Fancy Free, and 1 of Con Brio. Thank heaven for little Joyce heels. She carried an armful of skirts and an Evan Picone 2-piece number into the fitting room. Her little yellow dress, that buttoned all the way down, lay on the floor as she slipped a skirt over her head and shoulders down to her waist. But the placket would not close. She sucked in her stomach and pulled the fabric as far as possible, but the teeth of the zipper would not join. A light sheen broke out of her forehead, and she huffed and puffed. She was convinced that her whole life depended on whether or not those aluminum teeth would meet. The nail of her forefinger split, and the balls of her thumb ached as she struggled with the placket. Dampness became sweat, and her breath came in gasps. She was about to weep when the saleswoman poked her head through the curtain and said brightly, "How are you doing?" But when she saw Hagar's gnarled and frightened face, the smile froze. "Oh my," she said, and reached for the tag hanging on the skirt's waist. "This is a 5. Don't force it. You need, a 9 or 11. "I should think. Please, don't force it. Let me see if I have that size." She waited until Hagar let the plaid skirt fall down onto her ankles before disappearing. Hagar easily drew on the skirt, and the woman brought back, and without further search, she said she would take it in a little 2-piece Evan Picone. She bought a white blouse next, and a nightgown fawn trimmed in seafoam. Now all she needed was makeup. The cosmetic department unfolded her in perfume, and she read hungrily the labels and the promise. My Regia, for primeval woman who creates for him a word of tender privacy, where the only occupant is you. Mixed with Nina Ricci's L'air du Temps, Yardley's Flair with Chuchvich's Nectarama, Dorse's Intoxication, Robert Pigott's Fracas, and Calypso and Visa and Bandit. Huygens Chantilly, Sharon Fleurs de Rossial and Balodia. Hagar breathed deeply, the sweet air that hung over the glass counters. Like a smiling sleepwalker, she circled round and round the diamond-clear counters, covered with bottles, wafer thins, discs, round boxes, tubes, and folias. Lipstick in soft white hands darted out of these sheaths like the shiny red penises of puppies. Peachy powders and milky lotions were grouped in front of the poster after the cardboard poster of gorgeous grinning faces in ecstasy, faces somber with achieved seduction. Hagar believed she could spend her life there, among the cut glass shimmering in peaches and cream and satin, in opulence, in luxe, in love. It was 5:30 when Hagar left the store with 2 shopping bags full of smaller bags gripped in her hands, and she didn't put them down until she reached Lily's beauty parlor. "No more heads, honey." Lily looked up from the sink as Hagar came in. Hagar stared. "I have to get my hair done. I have to hurry," she said. Lily looked over at our Marceline. It was Marceline who kept the shop prosperous. She was younger, more recently trained, and could do a light press that lasted. Lily was still using red-hot irons and an ounce of oil on every head. Her customers were loyal but dissatisfied. Now she spoke to Marceline. "Can you take her?" "I can't, I know." Marceline peered deeply into the customer's scalp. "Hadn't planned on any late work. I got 2 more coming. This is my 8th today." No one spoke. Hagar stared. "Well," said Marceline, "since it's you, come on back at 8:30. Is it washed already?" Hagar nodded. "Okay." said Marceline. Since it's you, 8:30, but don't expect nothing fancy. I'm surprised at you. Lily chuckled when Hagar laughed. You just spent 2 people away. Yeah, well, I don't feel like it, but I don't want no trouble with that girl Hagar. No telling what she might do. She jumped that cousin of hers. No telling what she might do to me. That one going with Macon Dead's boy, Lily's customer lifted her head away from the sink. That's her? Ought to be ashamed of the 2 of them. Cousins? Must be working out if she's trying to kill him. I thought he left town. Wouldn't you? Well, I know. I don't want to truck with her. Not me. She don't bother nobody but him. Well, Pilot then. Pilot, no. I'd turn her down. She wouldn't like it. They spoil that child something awful. Didn't you order fish from next door? All that hair, I shouldn't expect nothing fancy. Call him up again. I'm getting hungry. Be just like her. No appointment, no nothing. Come in here all late and wrong and want something fancy? She probably meant to wait somewhere or go home and return till late 8:30. Yet the momentum of the thing held her. It was all of peace. From the moment she took into the mirror in the little pink compact, she could not stop. It was as though she held her breath and could not let go until the energy and busyness culminated into beauty that she would dazzle him. That was why, when she left Lily's, she looked neither right nor left, but walked on and on, oblivious of other people, streetlights, automobiles, and the thunderous sky. She was thoroughly soaked before she realized it was raining, and then only because of one shopping bag split. When she looked down, her ebon pecan, white with a band of color skirt, was lying in a neat half fold on the shoulder of the road, and she was far, far from home. She put down both bags, picked up the skirt, and brushed away the crumbs of gravel that stuck to it. Quickly she refolded it. When she tried to tuck it back into the shopping bag, the bag collapsed altogether. Rain soaked her hair and poured down her neck as she stooped to repair the damage. She pulled out the box of Combras, a smaller package of Van rusty gloves, and another containing her fawn-trimmed and sea-foam shorty nightgown. These she stuffed into the other bag. Retracting her steps, she found herself unable to carry the heavier bag in one hand, so she hoisted it to her stomach and hugged it with both arms. She had gone hardly 10 yards when the bottom fell out of it. Hagar clipped on a jungle red sculpture on the youth blind and had her great dismay saw a box of Sunnyglow toppling into a puddle. She collected jungle red and youth blind safety, but Sunnyglow, which had fallen over and lost its protective disc, exploded in light peach puffs over the weight of the raindrops. Hagar scraped up as much as she could and pressed the wilted cell phone disc back into the box. Twice before she got into the Darling Street, she had to stop to retrieve her purchases from the ground. Finally, she stood in Pilot's doorway, limp, wet, and confused, clutching her bundles in whatever way she could. Reba was relieved to see her, that she grabbed her, knocking Chantilly Bandit to the floor. Hagar stiffened and pulled away from her mother. I have to hurry, she whispered. I have to hurry. Loafers, sluicing, hair dripping, holding her purchase in her arms, she made it to the bedroom and shut the door. Pilot and Reba made no move to follow her. Hagar stripped herself naked there, and without taking time to dry her feet to dress herself up in the white with a band of color skirt matching borolo, a maiden form bracery, the fruit of the loom panties, and no color hose, and a plate of garter belt and the Joyce Cohen broys. Then she sat down to attend to her face. She drew charcoal gray for the young round eyes near her brows, afterwards she rubbed the mango tango on her cheeks. Then she patted Sunnyglow all over her face. Mango tango disappeared under it, and she had to put it on again. She pushed out her lips and spread jungle red all over them. She put baby clear skylights out with the daylight on her eyelids and touched Brandon to her throat, earlobes, and wrist. Finally, she poured a little blood into her palm and smoothed it into her face. At last, she opened the door and pressed herself to Pilot and Reba and it was in their eyes that she saw that she had not seen before in the mirror. A wet ribbed hose, a solid white dress, a sticky lumpy face powder, the streaked rouge, and the wild wet shoals of hair. All this she saw in her eyes, and the sight filled with her own water warmer, much older than the rain. Water that lasted for hours until the fever came, and then it stopped. The fever dried her eyes up, as well as her mouth. She lay in her little Goldilocks choice bed, her eyes sand dry, and as quiet as glass. Pilot and Reba seated beside the bed, bent over like two divvy trees, being forward by a wind, always blowing from the same direction, like the trees they offered her all they had. Love murmurs and protective shade. Mama, Hagar floated into even higher feet. Why don't he like my hair? Who, baby? Who don't like your hair? Milkman. Milkman does too like your hair, said Reba. No, he don't, but I can't figure out why. Why he never liked my hair. Of course he likes it. How can he not like it? Asked Pilot. He likes my silky hair. Hagar was murmuring so low they had to bend down to hear her. Silky hair, Milkman. Milkman? He don't like hair like mine. Hush, Hagar. Silky hair, the color of a penny. Don't talk, baby. Curly, wavy, silky hair. He don't like mine. Pilot put her hand on Hagar's head and trailed her fingers through her granitor soft, damp wool. How could he not love your hair? It's the same hair that grows out of his own armpits, the same hair that crawls up his crotch in his stomach, all over his chest, the very same. It grows out of his nose, lips, and if your lost razor would grow over his face. It's all over his head. It's his hair too. He gotta love it. He don't love it at all. He hates it. No, he don't. He don't know what he loves, but he'll come around, honey. One of these days. How can he love himself and hate your hair? He loves silky hair. Hush, Hagar. Penny-colored hair.
Where's an eye?
She like grad party.
Oh.
Please, honey. And lemon-colored skin. And hair, gray blue eyes. Hush now, hush. And thin nose. Hush, girl, hush. He's never gonna like my hair. Hush, hush, hush. Girl, hush. The neighbors took up a collection because Pilot and Reba had spent everything getting Hagar the things she needed to fix herself up. It didn't amount to much, though, as it was to touch and go whether she'd have a decent funeral until Ruth walked down to Sonya's shop and stared at Megan without blinking. He reached into his cash drawer and pulled out $20 bills and put them down on the desk. Ruth didn't stretch out her hand to pick them up or even shift her feet. Megan hesitated, then wheeled around his chair and begged, fiddling with the combinations in his safe. Ruth waited. Megan dipped into the safe 3 separate times before Ruth unclasped her hands to reach for the money. Thank you, she said, and marched off to Lynn Chapel Funeral Home to make the fastest arrangements possible. 2 days later, halfway through the service, it seemed as though Ruth was going to be the lone member of the bereaved family there. A female quartet from Linden Baptist Church had already sung Abide With Me. The wife of mortician had read the composer's card, and the minister had launched into his naked come ye into this life, and naked shall ye depart sermon, which he'd always believed suitable for the death of a young woman and the widows of the vestibule who came to pay their respects to Pilate's girl, but who dared not to enter, had begun to sob when the door swung open and Pilate burst in shouting mercy as he thought it was a command. A young man stood up and moved toward her. She flung out her right arm and almost knocked him down. I want mercy, she shouted and began walking toward the coffin, shaking her head from side to side as though somebody had asked her a question, and her answer was no. Halfway up the aisle, she stopped, lifted a finger and pointed. Then slowly, although her breathing was fast and shallow, she lowered her hand to her side. It was a strange... Come in. It's Brooke.
Okay.
The dangerous limp had come to rest her side while breathing was coming so quick and fast. Mercy, she had said again, but she... Hi. Ruth didn't stretch out her hand to pick them up or even shift her feet. Megan hesitated, then wheeled around his chair and began fiddling with the combination to his safe. Ruth waited. Megan dipped into the safe 3 separated times before Ruth unclasped her hands and reached for the money. Thank you, she said, and marched off to Linden Chapel Funeral Home to make the fastest arrangements possible. 2 days later, halfway through the service, it seemed as though Ruth was going to be one member of the bereaved family there. A female quartet from Linden Baptist Church had already sung abide with me. The wife of the mortician had read the condolence card from the minister and launched into his naked come ye into this life and naked shall ye depart sermon, which had already believed suitable for the death of a young woman. And the windows of his suitable who came to pay their respects to Pilate's girl, but who dared not to enter, had begun to sob. When the door swung open and Pilate burst in shouting, "Mercy!" as though it were a command, a young man stood and moved towards her. She flung out her right arm and almost knocked it down. "I want mercy," she shouted, and began walking toward the coffin, shaking her head from side to side, as though somebody had asked her a question and her answer was no. Halfway up the aisle, she stopped, lifted a finger and pointed. Then slowly, although her breathing was fast and shallow, she lowered her hand to her side. It was strange, the languorous, limp hand coming to rest at her side while her breathing was coming so quick and fast. "Mercy," she sang again, but she whispered it now. The mortician secured toward her and toward her elbow. She moved away from him and went right up to the bier. She tilted her head and looked down. Her earring grazed her shoulder. Out of the total blackness of her clothes, it blazed like a star. The mortician tried to approach her again and moved closer, but when he saw her inky, very black lips, her cloudy rain eyes, and the wonderful brass boxing hanging from her ear, he stepped back and looked at the floor. "Mercy?" Now she was asking a question. Mercy! It was not enough. The word needed a bottom, a frame. She straightened up, held her head high, and transformed the plea into a note. In a clear, bluebell voice, she sang it out. The one word held so long it became a sentence, and before the last syllable had died to the corners of the room, she answered in a sweet soprano, "I hear you." People turned around. Reba had entered and was singing too. Pilate neither acknowledged her entrance nor missed a beat. She simply repeated the word, "Mercy," and Reba replied. The daughters standing at the back of the chapel and the mother up in the front, they sang, "In the nighttime, mercy. In the darkness, mercy. In the morning, mercy. At my bedside, mercy. On my knees now, mercy, 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 mercy." They stopped at the same time in a high silence. Pilate reached out her hand and placed 3 fingers on the edge of the coffin. Now, she addressed her words to the woman bordered in gray satin who lay before her. Softly, privately, she sang to Hagar, the very same reassurance she had promised her when she was a little girl. "Who's been bothering my sweet sugar lumpkin? Who's been bothering my baby? Who's been bothering my sweet sugar lumpkin? Who's been bothering my baby girl? Somebody's been bothering my sweet sugar lumpkin. Somebody's been bothering my baby. Somebody's been bothering my sweet sugar lumpkin. Somebody's been bothering my baby girl. I'll find who's bothering my sweet sugar lumpkin. I'll find who's bothering my baby. I'll find who's bothering my sweet sugar lumpkin. I'll find out who's bothering my baby girl." My baby girl, the 3 words were still pumping in her throat as she turned away from the coffin, looking about at the faces of people sitting in the pews. She fastened on the first pair of eyes that were directed toward her. She nodded at the face and said, "My baby girl." She looked for another pair of eyes and told him also, "My baby girl." She moved back down the aisle and she told each face turned to her the same piece of news. "My baby girl, that's my baby girl, my baby girl, my baby girl, my baby girl." Conversationally, she spoke, identifying Hagar, selecting her away from everybody else in the world who had died. First, she spoke to the ones who had the courage to look at her, shake their heads, and say amen. Then she spoke to those who nerve failed them. Those glances would climb no higher than the long black fingers at the side. Toward them especially, she leaned a little, telling in 3 words the full story of the stumped life in the coffin behind her. "My baby girl." Words tossed like stones into a silent canyon. Suddenly, like an elephant who had just found its anger, lifts his trunk over the heads of the little men who want his teeth or hide his flesh or his amazing strength, Pilate trembled for the sky itself to hear, and she was love. It started one of the sympathetic windows of the vestibule, and he dropped over his bottle, spreading emerald glass and jungle red wine everywhere.